Good afternoon. Welcome to Ask AJ. It's
Pouring down.
yeah. Where has summer gone?
Just been out and it's wet.
We had a nice 2 or 3 days last week. Or you did.
I was lucky. I chose a good week to be off last week.
What were you doing?
I had a bit of time in my garden outside with my dogs, and we had time going to visit family and friends, which was good.
Very nice.
And yeah, I won't lie, spent a bit of time sunbathing in the garden with a gin and tonic.
Very nice. I had a baby and therefore didn't see daylight. I saw the nighttime. Saw a lot of the darkness, but didn't see much of the sun. So yeah, he's now a week and a day old. Don't mind checking my watch; it doesn't tell me.
He's very cute.
Well, I think so, but parents are always biased, aren't they?
Well, I'm not a parent.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
True. So today we're going to talk about price adjustments, and we do use the word adjustment rather than reduction because we think of it as a strategy as opposed to something that we're kind of forced to do. So usually when we go and see a homeowner and they're asking us what we think it's worth, what the strategy is, etc., it's important to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, etc. And there are times we feel that it is our job and our responsibility to have the conversation to say either we're not getting the interest levels we should, or we are getting the interest levels we should, but we need to do something to get the market to make a decision or to become interested in it. And although from the outside world it may look like a negative thing and to say, oh, they've reduced and therefore we're going to offer low or whatever others may think, we see it as a positive move in order to get traction, and it regularly works for us. Do you want to talk about the some strategies of when we do a price adjustment on the amount we suggest and what impact that has?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think it's important to reiterate what Phil said, that it's not just a negative, and a lot of people see it that way, but we do it as a tactic. So part of that tactic, for instance, and that strategy of a price adjustment is it can have a really fantastic impact on your exposure through the wonderful power of Rightmove. So if you do a correct price adjustment, you can actually end up being relaunched as a new listing on Rightmove. And the biggest benefit to that is going out on their 7 days of email alerts, and everybody gets directly to their inbox.
It's a massive impact, isn't it?
Huge impact. So that's why normally when you first launch, you get such a flurry of interest because you're literally there in people's direct inboxes with, big picture and all the information there right in front of them. So they're not having to scroll or anything like that. It's just there. So it can have a really, really good impact, and it's had good success even today with using that strategy. But also on that, we do, so it has to be a certain percentage of a reduction to have that actually happen with Rightmove. I think it's about 2%. But from our perspective as a strategy, it's something you really only want to do once. So the ideal being that there's no point kind of reducing in small increments, dropping 5,000 or whatever. It's not going to have a big impact on the interest level that you're going to get in from doing a price adjustment. So normally we would recommend about a 10% price reduction, or price adjustment rather, to your original marketing value. And from that, we see that gets the biggest impact. And sometimes actually going in, at a price adjustment that's that level will actually lead you to getting slightly above that, or if not just slightly, quite a bit more above that, because it brings such a high level of interest back into the house, which in turn can lead to, again, you might get a couple of people competing on offers. So, it's not something to fear that, even though that's the price adjustment you've gone to, you could actually end up getting slightly above that.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, it's rare. It's a strategy we use rarely, but it's also a strategy that we have to be open with, and because we know it works. We completely did on the house on Friday that was on for 1 million. We were struggling to get the traction and the interest we were hoped for, and we dropped to 900 and ended up selling for 940. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the jump, the 10% jump adjustment in the price, you have to bring in a new market. It's pointless dropping to a figure that you're still attracting the same people are looking at it. They've already looked at it and said it's not for us in that price. And let's say you drop 5%. Well, at 5%, that's still on the table for the people that looked and decide not to offer, because if they were going to offer, a 5% sit within within the bracket of what they would offer, whereas 10% feels a bit too cheeky for them and therefore they wouldn't offer. So why would they come see it or be interested again at a 5% reduction as opposed to not just offering? So that's why a 10% really then gets them interested, and then all of a sudden there's competition and they see it in a different light, and we've got a lot more people interested, and we can then push the price higher that way. So it is something that, especially in this market, that if you're not selling or you're not getting the traction, then it's worth having a chat to your agent if they're not doing that, or if they're not thinking about it. But it has to be strategic. It has to be a figure that they know they're going to. As Edward said, where if you start just knocking off 20,000 here, 20,000 there, all of a sudden you've done that 10%, but you've dramatically reduced the impact. Now it feels like no one wants it, and it's just, when's that going to stop?
Yeah, I think people think, don't they? If you do a small increment, they'll think it's going to have another price adjustment in another month.
Yeah, and really, if you sell it after doing just a small price adjustment, chances are you would have sold it anyway at that higher price. So it's got to be a strategic jump and a change in strategy as well to open up a new market. But as we have discussed, there are negative sides to it, and if depending on how you do it, you can do it too early. You can certainly do it too late. If you've been on the market for a year, you've probably missed the time. Yeah, and I would say if you've been on for a year, you've got to go more than 10% to really open up a new market and attract the people that have seen it and thought that's way too expensive for me, or whatever they think. But yeah, there's quite a lot to it, and I can see how owners feel quite defensive about it, because they don't want to be seen as reduced, and obviously it's noted on Rightmove it's been reduced, which I'm not sure totally helps. But sometimes it's a strategy you've got to be open to and take seriously, and it's quite an aggressive tactic. You want to be able to it's really put in place to sell in the first 10 days, 2 weeks. So we usually have success with it. There's times when we don't, but
it's rare, isn't it? But normally you would get success on that strategy within a week. And I think as well, it's ensuring that it is used as a strategy and a tactic, and tying it in with other tactics. So, make sure your agent or whoever, before it goes out on Rightmove, let all the previously people that are interested know that this is coming, to make them feel, they're getting a priority, and, they're important, they've already shown an interest. And that tactic works well for us or anybody else as well. That would mean that you might not even need to have that adjustment shown on the likes of Rightmove. If you can go back to previously interested parties who might have just thought at the time, it's a bit, top heavy, or it's too pricey for them. Let them know that they're considering a price drop or a price adjustment, and then it's very likely they might come back on the table, and that's happened quite a lot. And then you wouldn't even need to go through the process of changing on Rightmove. So that then, if that sale, God forbid, fell through, you've still got that tactic in the background to use at a later date. Having not done it before.
You do, yeah. And going that route, you can kind of test the water a bit more. You can say, look, if we go to this price, would you be interested? Or and then it becomes a discussion, and that happened today. We ended up higher than what the number was. Now we didn't get the competition going because we didn't get that opportunity, but we still ended up with a good result. So there's lots of different ways you can play it, but it's important that it's on the table. It isn't always a negative situation to discuss the price adjustment. Just make sure that it has some strategy behind it, it has some thinking behind it, and you've got a plan to go to, rather than just chipping away and hoping at some point down the line you find a buyer. And that's it. That's all we've got for you.
That's it for today.
Tune in next week when we've got some really exciting questions. We don't know what it is yet, but I'm sure it's exciting.
I'm sure. 100%.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be sunny. And if not, get out there, enjoy the rain.
Enjoy the rain.
Remember
There you go. Bye.